or rookies.
Yeah, that's something I want to do in like over the summer. Is I'm gonna do like guides and stuff because I want to do some stuff on TCG Player and then like vending and like beginner stuff. So that's what I want to do. But I'll just clap us in. So hello everyone,
Yeah.
welcome to the 24th episode of the PokéSells Official Podcast. My name is Rocco Mitchell. I'm your host, and today I'm here with one of my new friends in the Nashville community. We met probably February, I think.
Yeah, that's about right.
And it was at the Win Boba Tea trade day, our last trade day before Grails and Glory. And we had you in for an interview, and I got to meet you through Abe, and we just talked after that. We just talked, and we're, good friends. You go to our shows. We've helped you, you starting vending and stuff like that. So if you could just introduce yourself, Jim, for the people at home.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rocco. Yeah, my name is Jim Youngblood. I'm a Nashville native, born and raised here. I'm one of those unicorns. And like Rocco said, we met a couple months ago and just kind of jumped all into Pokemon and trade and vending and yeah, it's been a wild ride for the last few months, but it's been awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm just honored that you asked me to do a podcast with you. So cool.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's nothing great. Like, I like having people on, and whoever I can get on, I'll have them on, Pokemon or not. And it's just fun. And obviously I think for me, and something that me and Abe talked about, and something that I think is like important, especially in Pokemon, is like everyone has a story. Everyone has everyone's in it for something else. And I know what you were telling me, how you kind of got in is like really cool. And even like the little impact you're having, because I know we'll talk about it later, but I know your son kind of got you into it, or your kids. And now like right next to you guys at the last show, there was like the other kids vending. And it's just like super cool to see like even kids like, 10, 11, 12, I assume, like getting into this, and they're like, wow, like this is crazy. And they're meeting that. But how we'll just start off with the first question is like, how did you get into Pokemon and Pokemon selling and vending?
Yeah. So I mean, I started collecting at a young age. Growing up, I got into sports with my dad. My dad was, a football coach and played sports. And for whatever reason, it was the Boston Celtics, and it was Larry Bird.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the 91 Dream Team, the Olympic Dream Team. And that was our thing. And we, anytime we traveled around or were around different card shows, we started collecting them. And, it was just cool. I enjoyed it. I remember, collecting Pogs as a kid. I remember, like different shows and movies, collecting their cards and stuff. Forgot a lot about it, honestly, until like the last year. My dad passed away a couple of years ago, and my mom has like started giving me all of his stuff, and like silver and gold collections and card collections and just random stuff. So I've always kind of had it in me. I've really enjoyed it. And I just got our Larry Bird collection back from PSA. My dad always thought it was too expensive to get a card graded. But my mom gave them to me, and I was looking at eBay, and rookie cards could be like 10 grand if it was a PSA 10, and one of his early Topps cards was like 40 grand in a PSA 10. They got sixes, and
Yeah.
nothing like that. But so it's kind of cool to come full circle.
Yeah.
Played other sports as a kid, high school, college, and then adult life happened. No time to collect or really do anything. And then for Christmas, my son's 7, and my partner's son is 11. And for Christmas, all they wanted was Pokemon cards and Fortnite V-Bucks. And so, Christmas came and went, and they ripped through ETBs and booster boxes. and there were just piles of cards, like literally all around the house. And I'm like, dang. And then I like started seeing how popular Pokemon is now and how expensive some of the cards were.
Yeah.
Um, so, started researching, and they have no interest in like master sets or organizing cards and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So I started picking them up, putting them in penny sleeves, putting good looking shiny cards in top loaders, trying to figure out what the heck I was doing.
Yeah.
Um, and then one day I remember we were at home, and one of the big kids that vended next to me, Noah, um, his mom texted and was like, "Hey, there's a Pokemon card show at Lighthouse. Do you want to meet us there?" And we're like, "On our way, sure." And yeah, that started the downhill slide. We've gone to every card show every weekend since. And I remember, I guess it was Abe posted in the Nashville Force Pokemon Facebook group. I found it somehow. And he was like, "Hey, thinking about starting up a show. If anybody's interested, let me know." And like, I immediately raised my hand, and I'm like, we're sitting on all kinds of cards. I need to figure out how to start selling some of them. And I've been in contact every week with Abe since, and all in, helping him with y'all show, which is awesome. And yeah, and here we are. So
Yeah. That's no, that's super cool. And yeah, I know I remember seeing you at that first one. I have that interview still that we did. I forgot to post it. I probably should do that. But yeah, I remember, and that's what I love about your story is like you came into it obviously like from your kids um wanting to be in it, and then now you've kind of like taken over and done some like business stuff and brought them with that too. And I think that's really cool. And how you guys, just grew like have that as a family, or it's like something you guys can bond over and something that you guys can do. And yeah, that's really cool. I
yeah, it
that's
really is. I mean, yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, that's just like the way we'll turn our brain off at the end of the day is we'll
yeah,
just sit and sort card. We'll just, sleeve and sort cards,
yeah,
or price cards, and talk about the next show. And it is cool, and it gives me great opportunities to teach the kids
mhm,
business stuff at a young age, so it can be applicable to them. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's all really it is. Because at the beginning of the day, um, or at the beginning, you're doing it for a hobby. But like for me now, like for example, I'll take let's just take random card, this card, right? At the beginning of the day, you're a 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid. You buy a pack and you open it. You're like, oh my goodness, this card's so cool. Or maybe you don't think it's cool. Maybe you think something more like, let's see, like something like this is cool, which is
oh
a
yeah,
gold card because kids think like gold cards are cool or whatever. Um, but as you're like, oh wow, that's cool, and that's like the base level. But then as you go into it, you're like, okay, well actually this card is technically more than this card, and the reason why it's more, and like you get into it. And then now for me, like you said about teaching them business, is you're haggling with people. Let's say I bought a card for 80%. Um, you have to factor in like, okay, if I go less than 80, I'm losing money unless the card goes up, obviously. But let's just say same day of the show. If it goes below 80, I'm losing money. If it goes over, I'm making money. And like it's that spectrum, and like you get to decide as the vendor, like, okay, how far do I want to go? Do I want to make a little less of a profit? Do I want to make the most profit possible? Do I maybe this guy's picking up 5 cards of mine, maybe since he's buying this card at a different percentage, then it's okay for me to sell this card at this percentage, and it's just all that type of stuff and the haggling. And it's just fun to learn that and do that. And like for me, I want to do businesses. I know I've told you about that before. And I know you
yeah,
do businesses, and it's just a good entry point. And obviously there's a lot of money to be made. But at the core, it's like a really good entry point for people to start doing something, which I think is great.
yeah, absolutely, I agree. And one of the things that I told the boys is their job is going to be fulfilling TCG orders soon.
Mhm.
So they can, we'll buy them cards and stuff for special occasions, but eventually we're going to be sitting on enough bulk and enough inventory that you know they can sell, make their money back, and reinvest it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool.
And then even on that side, like for example, when I started TCG Player, I think I started like 3 months ago or so. Oh no, yeah, 3 months ago. I think I started in February. I didn't know really anything about shipping. Now I know how to write an address. I know stamp cost. I know, what the best things are to use to buy shipping rates, all that type of stuff. And it's just like good. That's like just a good skill to have. And then what you said on top of that, like, okay, they're selling, let's say that they package TCG player orders and let's say they make $100 in a week. Let's just say that. And then the payout is the next week. So they have, there's obviously a week delay, but now they have $100. They can choose, hey, am I going to spend this on something that I want? Or am I going to say no to that for right now and then reinvest it into more things to buy so that later I can buy stuff in the future? Which is like, that's some of the hardest stuff about it. Cause obviously, this is like, I have like day jobs and stuff that I buy stuff with. But at the end of the day, Pokemon makes the most amount of money for me. But I haven't taken anything out of it besides one. I took out like I took out one thing a couple weeks ago to gift to my brother as like a thank you gift. So I bought him something, which I'll post about that later. It's a surprise since he's graduating. Um,
Oh, nice.
yeah, but but for example, like everything just gets reinvested back into the business
Hmm.
so that and it's crazy because it sucks like that random Tuesday. I'm like, ah, shoot, I can't buy that. But then you look now, like a couple months later, and I'm like, oh, I have stuff that I wouldn't even thought that I would have in this amount of time, and that's because I had a delayed gratification, and didn't do it then, but I did it later.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I almost on a daily basis talk about things just like that with the boys because they're like, we want this card and we want this card, and I'm like, dude, you're 7 or you're 11, like uh, that's like a grail card for a grown up. Like, let's
Yeah,
let's calm down. We got to sell some stuff. We got to make some money, and then
yeah,
eventually, if you want to sell all of your other really nice cards and buy that Umbreon or Moonbreon,
yeah.
uh, sure, we'll go for it. But yeah,
Yeah. No, that's super cool. And I think
yeah.
that's great that you're doing that. And it's cool. And that we have, there's an environment for them to do that. And like I think Grails and Glory is really good, or it's gonna be really good because of the environment that it is. Like we've made it in a way to where there's not really like you could be a veteran seller or you could be someone that really wants to just sell for your first show. And I think we've tried to provide like a good experience for, like, for example, people that want to sell, first time vendors. Where maybe you don't want to take something as crazy as Lighthouse, because Lighthouse is great. Like Lighthouse is, the competition's a lot bigger. You're haggling, you're doing, it's crazy. The vibe, like just the
Mhm.
atmosphere is like not heavy, but it's like crazy. And then with our show, we are like, okay, so how can we, provide more space, provide, you know, breakfast, or like do things that like think really keenly on our vendors, and then provide a good environment for them to like be successful, but then also, have confidence in vending, or and I know we've done this too. I don't know who was in your island, but we had like there were vendors who vended for like 10 plus years, right along vendors who've only vended like a month.
Mhm.
And we've like kind of like, so maybe they have a question. Okay, ask the person to your right, like, hey, is this good? Am I being underpaid? Am I doing this? And that is kind of like allowed them to, um, I think, it gives a good time or good thing for people to learn from each other and to like learn the best strategies and stuff.
Yeah,
On
you have already accomplished that. I mean,
Yeah.
the environment. is fantastic. At both shows, and those are the only two shows I've ever sold at, your
Mhm.
two shows. Both times I had people come up and say, like, this is so awesome. It's because of the vendors, it's because of the people, the environment's great. And then like Abe, my very first show, he's, basically held my hand and walked me over to Fry from Next Level Games. And he's like, look, you're next to him. He's your man. If you're not sure or you don't know anything, ask him. He's an expert. He's like, I intentionally put you right next to him, because this is your first time selling. And I mean, there's just so much value in that.
Yeah. And
It's
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 like,
awesome.
yeah, and I know you do business, you do real estate, um, and connection's everything, right? Connection is a very important thing in any atmosphere, any business, any niche, whatever you want to call it. And that's something that I think is very important. Something that I've learned, and a big reason why I started this podcast is because like it gives a good entry point for people. It gives a good barrier. It's like, hey, I've never really met this person, or maybe I've talked to them on Instagram or whatever, but I haven't sat down and talked with them like one on one. This provides that good atmosphere. We can learn from each other. We can talk. We can, go into card markets. We can whatever we want to do, and we can both leave away with it like, oh wow, so I didn't know that about this person. We're learning new things. We're doing this. We're growing, and yeah. Then I think it's just fun. I like sitting down once a week and talking with people. I enjoy doing it, and that's I think something that's good and something that we've done. And now I'm talking. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right on. I mean, just like real estate, ha half of my day every day is, connecting people with the right people
Mhm.
to solve the right problem, or I'm the person who's being brought in to solve a problem.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, More of it's not a normal real estate scenario that I work in. It's not just sales. And yeah, I mean, you can apply that to TCG, e-commerce. You can apply it to a brick and mortar storefront, just taking those principles of, hey, I'm going to connect people and I'm going to help people and solve their problems. And then you really, as long as you use good business sense, like you don't have to worry about the money. The money's going
Yeah.
to come in and take care of itself. So
Yeah. No, and I think
yeah.
that's super cool. And something, if you don't mind me asking, or
Mhm.
just going to a little bit of real estate, we don't have to go too deep in. But like that's really cool. And I know I've talked to you about stuff that want to do. At least that's stuff that I've learned, and I don't know if it is good. But like, what are some things that you've taken like from like that real, like your real world business that is like
Mhm.
real estate, your real world job into Pokemon, or like how is that like?
Hmm.
How are like the two connected, or not connected?
I
But you
would,
know what I mean. Like what
yeah.
have similarities?
So, one thing I've had several business coaches in my career, and something I learned early on was always look for like intentional congruence between things. Try to tie people into the right scenarios or the right situations, or try to tie businesses together. Um, and for me, it's I don't do a lot of sales. I'm a principal broker and run my partner's company, and we primarily do like asset management. I've got about 100 investor clients that own hundreds of homes all over Nashville,
Mhm.
and we manage those for them. And then also do like development and construction and stuff like that. So it's very task, oriented. Um, like you have to get a building permit before you break ground. You have to you know have the foundation in and inspected before you can start framing the house. It's very process driven. And so I've kind of taken that, or taking that to TCG, because opening up the TCG's online store, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? I'm already like 10 steps ahead. What problems am I going to run into? What complaints are people going to have? How can I mitigate those liabilities. And then also, like, I'm super busy, and so, like, how do I make it as efficient as possible? So before I hit live on my TCG store, like, I'm gonna have all of my supplies,
Mhm.
you know, envelopes, boxes, printer, everything, so that I can run in here and knock it out as quickly as possible, and go feed kids or put kids to bed,
Yeah.
or knock it out and go to a meeting somewhere. So um, I would say that's kind of what I've taken into it, uh, is that, and then also on the buying side, because I'm always trying to buy like you,
Mhm.
connect with people, figure out what people need. You
Yeah.
know, it's not always about the bottom dollar.
Yeah.
A lot of people advertise cards for sale for other reasons than just I need every dollar that I can get out of this collection, or out
Mhm.
of this card. They have different needs, and so asking, like, what do you need? What are you looking for? How can I help you?
Yeah.
And yeah, meeting people where they are, and finding, negotiating kind of on that next level. Um, just asking more questions, just going deeper, and helping people.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. And that's like super like that's super true. With being efficient too. I know my TCG player like work stand has like evolved in a way where like it's like envelope boom, card, or card and binder boom, top load like it's like 1, 2, 3, and then like it's like 5 steps to like package and order. Um and that's true being efficient, because if for every, time is money. And even if you're saving like 10 if you can find a way. I work at a farm for my school, and one thing that my boss says there a lot is it's like vegetables and things like that. But she's
Yeah.
like, if you can find, and it's a lot of like repetitive tasks, like planting a plant or like planting a crop or doing like weeding a, a row or like, a bed. And something that she always says is like, hey, if you can find 10 minutes, like a way to save like 10 seconds every time you're doing something over the course of like the 50 times that you're doing that one task for like you're saving like I don't know how much like I don't know, but you're saving like the time will um compound and you'll save time. And I think that's true. And then also like customer service, like you said, is
Hmm.
very keen. Another job that I have is a grocer at Publix, and I'm a bagger grocery cashier. And something that they prioritize is customer service. And I really enjoy. They take it like next level, like Chick-fil-A level type stuff.
Right. Yeah, they
And
do.
and I've applied that literally um any uh into any into any avenue, any workspace that I'm in. Asking like even if you're spending like for like if you're spending, let's say, 10 extra cents every package that I'm shipping out for TCG,
Hmm.
or because I'm putting a business card in or I'm writing a little note or something like that. That on the bottom end, like you said, it affects the bottom dollar a little bit because shipping usually covers for it. Um, but the retention, that you can get from it, or maybe that person's like, oh wow, this buyer is actually like really cares for their seller or their buyers. And okay, well, I'm going to continue to buy from this person because I like the way that they treat the customer. And at the end of the day, it's like have you seen the Costco rotisserie chicken method? Okay.
No. Uh-uh.
So at Costco, they have the rotisserie chickens for like $5.
Okay.
And everyone's like, oh my goodness, the Costco, why do you have it so cheap? Blah, 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 blah. And the reason why they do that is because one, like you go into Costco, right? And the chicken itself is $5, but then you're in the store, you're like, oh, I might as well go buy this. Oh, and I also need this. And that one rotisserie chicken that you wanted to buy for
Hmm.
$5 ends up becoming a $100 Costco order. And they make
It's
they make money and then on top of their membership. So they make the money up, but in different ways. So it's
Yeah,
like,
it's branding, marketing, and sales. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, if I can make my customers feel like that they're appreciated and that I'm building a connection with them, they'll come back and they'll keep on buying stuff, which is good for everyone. I'm providing what they want and they're providing what I need to continue to grow the business. And I think that that's like super, super important. Yeah. And I mean, I know for me too, and this is my last point before we can go into other stuff. But like for me personally, like there's people that I've bought from, like, where is it? This card, my Bulbamew, which I'm very happy that I got this. But the guy that I bought this from, I've spent easily maybe $3,000 at this point on him. And the reason is because he gives me good percentages. And we've built that connection already. So I know he'll give me a good percentage. I know we'll have a good deal. I know that everyone's happy. I know, and if he ever needs stuff, I know what he wants. So if I ever find that, I point it his direction or I buy it from that person and then give it to him. So It's like just building those relationships is like really, really keen into scaling stuff. But I don't know. That was a bit of a
tangent. No, it makes perfect sense. And one other thought, like correlating real estate to also like TCG player is branding. It takes 12 to 15 touches to, they say if you're a new real estate agent, like you have to talk to your cousin or your aunt or your friend or, your pastor at church or whatever, 12 to 15 times about real estate, or they have to see you in that seat of being a real estate agent or a realtor before they're like, oh, the first time they think of real estate, they think about you. So yeah, I mean, spending that extra 10 or 15 cents on the TCG order, putting a sticker, putting a card, branding your bubble mailers, whatever it takes, it's an investment. It's going to cut down on your profit short term, but long term, if I know you're in this for the long haul, it's absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Yeah. And I think it's true. And building a brand is like really essential to everything. And that's I believe in that fully. And and that's always been my thing. I mean, literally how I started on eBay was I was selling my stuff probably at like 90% of market, but it was to get that like original buyer base, or like a giveaway. You're doing a giveaway at only 500 followers. That's what I did. But it was to get, that buying base, to get those people that, now they see my stuff and they're like, oh, cool. And it's just important, and caring for people. Like I said before, like if people know that you care for them, they're going to keep on coming back. And that just makes everyone happy because you have a service that they need, and then you have the stuff that they need. Yeah, that's super cool, and I very much enjoyed that section. So you vend and you do TCG player. Those are the two things that you're doing. You say you started TCG player, and have you enjoyed it?
I have not went live yet. I've sold. I've vended twice at your two shows. We're vending for the first time at Lighthouse this Saturday.
Oh, nice.
And then after that, I'm trying to put all of my like good 10, 15, $20 cards, together to get on TCG player to get some good solid sales going. So I'll probably make it active next week.
Cool. That's awesome. And I love the thing about live, so the first time I did TCG player, I had it on for about a week and I didn't know what was happening. I was like, what? I'm not getting any sales, whatever, screw it. So I deleted my TCG player store, and then it was like, Rocco, you need to hop on TCG player. And I'm like, okay, let me try this again. And then I put my inventory, I did everything, and then I looked at the live button and it said not live. And I was like, oh, so that's the thing that I did wrong. My store wasn't even on the store or on live. And I was like, oh my goodness, I felt so dumb. And then I put it live, and then like the next day I got some sales. But it was like at that moment it was just like, oh my goodness. I'm happy that you're at least aware of that, because when people ask me about TCG player and stuff like that, I've been telling them like, hey, like make sure that you're live, because that's the mistake that I personally.
I learned that from hearing you and Jerry talk about it
Okay.
in a previous podcast. That's because you were telling Jerry about it. That's where I learned about it. So I
Yeah,
learned from your mistake. I appreciate that.
of course.
But it took me a couple of weeks to get it live.
Mhm.
You had to upload your driver's license and do verification. So it took a little while, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I heard that they're making it like strict, like they did new policies for it. Which kind of, well, it's good for me because obviously I was on before that all that happened. Um, but that the fact that they're doing that is really, really, I mean, it's good because you can't just have
Mhm.
anyone come on. But I don't know how many people have texted me, but they're like, Rocco, I started doing TCG player and it says I can't do my account. I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, and I really genuinely have no idea. But just give it some time and then it'll go.
Yeah,
Um,
you have to, I would say probably 48 out. So you'll get a pop-up saying you're not active, to reach out to like help or sales or something. They give you a couple of different email addresses. I emailed them both. Probably within 48 hours, they came back and said, please use this link and upload a copy, the front and back of your driver's license. And I did that. And then they said, we'll let you know if we need anything else to verify who you are. And then probably 3 to 5 business days after that, it was live.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. I yeah, I did not have to do that at all, which I wonder if I mean, that's good, obviously. But that's weird. Hmm, Interesting. But that's cool. And it's crazy, bro. I love TCG player. Like honestly, between shows, like because I'm in high school, I do all that stuff. Like I don't have time to like drive and do deals and stuff like that all the time. Um, and the fact that TCG player is there really helps like get through those weeks. Or like let's say like for example, Grails and Glory was on Sunday. Hopefully, I'll be doing Lighthouse on Saturday. Um, then I have a week, but in that week I've been able to do orders on TCG Player, so it keeps the ball rolling, and it
Mhm.
makes me feel like I'm doing something. It makes me like, yes, the payout is slow and whatever, but it's also a good way to transition for stuff, because I'll be come showtime, I have an extra $100, $200 in my business account that I can then withdraw for the show. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Now I have some more stuff to play with. I have more things to pick up. Um, and it also gives you that next, like talking about like relationships with buyers and stuff like that. You'll want to pick up like those $2 cards, those $5 cards. You'll want to pick up that binder because like the average seller, the average person that just vends is like, oh, I can't do anything with this. But that when you tell people like, oh, I actually use this, they're like, what? Everyone's told, the past 5 tables have told me they don't need it. Um, but you tell them that they do need it, they're like, oh, okay, cool. Now I know I can sell this to them. I can do that. Then you shoot them your percentage, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. That's totally fine. And then it's just all gravy from there. But it's definitely a good way to connect with people as well, and just another step and something that I enjoy doing part of the business because it gives me something to do. But yeah, I'm sure you're
Yeah.
gonna do great on it. It's really fun. It's really
It
cool. And
is. It really is. And I mean, I've already seen the connections. Um, just going from your first show to your second show.
mhm,
I there were some young guys vending, and I bought a lot from them at the first show. They, kept needing to sell stuff to buy stuff, and as soon as they saw me, they came and talked to me this past week, and learning people's names. And then actually one person like saying, "Are you Jim?" And I'm like, "Yes, but I'm nobody, so I don't know how you know my name." um, yeah, it is. It is. It's fantastic.
yeah, that's what I love, the group of kids, Parker and them. They're awesome. I
Yeah.
I didn't really know who they were until the first show, but then I figured out who they were, and I was like, oh wow. Like I was like, wow, there's people like obviously there's me and Lucky, but Lucky's I'm catching up to him, but he's at a different
Yeah.
like he's at a different level. And the fact that they're there and they're just starting off, and I get to help them as like someone that's their age and who's only done it for a little bit longer than them, but has a more understanding. I was like, yes, like I'm happy that I have those types of people. And they're just cool people. It's nice to talk to them, and again, it's like someone that I can relate to more, than an adult. Which I love talking with everyone. I'm more mature and I have like an older soul, so I love having, a bunch of friends that are adults and I can talk about like actual stuff, not just like not dumb stuff, but you know what I mean. Just more mature topics, and they're like,
Hmm.
it's good to have them. Definitely, I love having Parker in his group. They're really cool to talk about. And ironically, I didn't know this until last show, but one of them plays on a volleyball team that I went against in the beginning of the year because I do volleyball for my school.
Oh,
I
cool.
which was like I was like, what? Like we met before we met, and it was like he was like, yeah, were you on that one team? I'm like, yeah, I am on that team. But it's cool. I'm happy to have them, and the fact that they know, like they see you and they're like, oh well, like this is someone that I can trust. This is someone that we can offload to. Is really cool. It's really really cool.
Yeah. And then, I was telling at the last lighthouse, I had to leave. I had to go to my son's Sterling soccer game, but
Mhm.
you weren't there, but Abe was there. And I was like, Abe, I want you to meet, my partner's son and then his buddies, because they were all at Lighthouse. And I'm like, they have their own table. They're 11, but there's three of them and they have their own table. Um, and then Abe was like, okay, I met you. And then he's like Spencer, like you're one of them. And like Spencer and his dad knew Abe's name and had been buying from Abe for years. And yeah, it was so small. Um, and it was raining last weekend before your show. So
Yeah.
on Saturday, we went up to the Upper Cumberland Card Show in Cookeville.
Hmm.
And I walked in, and the feel of it was a lot like your show. I mean, very chill, laid back, spaced out, friendly, good amount of sellers, but not overcrowded. And I picked up a sticker and a card, and I'm like, I want to come up here and sell. This is so cool. And at the very first table, guy introduced himself, and I started talking to him, and he's like, you buying, selling, what are you doing? I'm like, all of the above, brand new into it, vending tomorrow at my second show. And he's like, oh yeah, where? And I told him. He's like, oh, I know Abe. He's like, I'm Joe Callis. I run the Upper Cumberland show, and tell Abe I said hi tomorrow. Um, so yeah,
Cool. Was that wasn't Cookville, right? I think it's the same Joe.
Cookville.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cookville. Yeah,
yeah,
I should be going there in June. I talked to Joe today. Actually, I got his number and I texted him. Was like, hey, is there still tables for June? And he's like, yeah, sure, yeah. And I got to talk to him, and he should be next week's guest, which will be fun.
awesome.
I'll talk to him about running shows and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
fantastic guy,
yeah,
fantastic dude.
he seems really cool.
Top notch. Everybody, it was a great show.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I've heard nothing but good stuff from him. And then it's funny. I think it was Saturday like night, because like before Sunday, the craziness that was Sunday. Which that sucks that it was raining. It was bad, but it was all good. No one's cardboard got wet. But before the show, the crazy likeness that was Sunday, that night it was funny. Like I think Tyler and Abe were playing like they were playing Call of Duty or something like that.
Hmm.
And I was doing some stuff here with my friends at home. Um, they Abe texted the group chat. He was like, "Guys, Joe just told us that a whole bunch of people are excited and all that stuff." So the fact that and Jeff, who runs Lighthouse and like them, um he also has texted us and like, hey, people are like super hyped about your show, like I'm super like it should be good for you guys, I'm excited. And the fact that like everyone's like in that community,
Hmm.
everyone's like binding together to do that, I really enjoy it. And like just supporting like something that just started, really, and I think is super cool. And I'm really happy that like how everything like aligned up for like me meeting Abe and then like Tyler and Abe were like the first people that I met. Genuine, like, and I like had a genuine connection with them. I went to the national, and I met Abe and Tyler, and I just did an interview that you could see it on my on my Instagram. It's old, but I did an interview with them, and it was great, and they were like, "Cool, this is my like Instagram, blah blah blah." I was just a little kid with like less than 100 followers on Instagram, and it just went off from there, and it was crazy. But yeah, that's how everything's aligned up, and then now how everyone's like pouring into it is really cool. But it's cool. I should be going. I want
Well,
to go
you've
to.
got my support. You just let me know
Yeah,
what you need. You have my support.
yeah, yeah. We actually though, little side note, we're probably gonna outgrow the gym by August. That's the goal. So, or not the goal, but that's kind of where we're heading. So if you know like any event center locations like closer to Nashville, that would
Yeah,
be great. I'm sure you do. But
yeah,
that would help us a lot if you knew any locations that you could point us in their direction and we could hook them up. But
yeah, for sure. I'll
yeah,
we'll talk offline, but I do a lot of commercial real estate too, so um I've got some options in mind I'm thinking about.
cool. Yeah, but that
Yeah.
that'll be super cool. But I love doing that. Okay. I don't know what to talk about. I'm just going off the list. I'm just chilling. Um, let's see here. Oh yeah, yeah. So you said something that I know you watch my podcast, which thank you for that.
Yeah.
You and Lucas are like the top two people that have told me like, hey, I've watched your podcast, like, and I really enjoy it. I'm like, great, I'm doing something right. I have at least like two people that are watching it, which is great. But really like something I like to ask is one, like, what's your favorite Pokemon? And then two, what was like obviously just started selling, but like what's been like the favorite deal you've done or like the favorite Pokemon card that you've had?
Okay.
And like
Good question. So, favorite Pokemon, I really like Mimikyu.
mhm, mhm,
I think he's quirky and I like dark stuff. So I think Mimikyu's pretty cool. Um, and Alakazam, Spoon
okay,
Man. Yeah.
yeah,
So those are my two favorite Pokemon. My grail would be the Scream Mimikyu.
mm,
I think that card's just sick. It is
yeah,
just it's awesome.
yeah,
Um, and then man, favorite deal. Um, one of my earlier deals, I guess just a little telling a story. Um, Me and my partner's daughter, we were walking out the door. We live like we're East Nashville, hits Inglewood,
yeah.
um, at the river, and we were leaving the house. She and I were going to go up to Phuket in Rivergate across from the mall
I know
to
exactly
have
what you're talking
dinner. And this dude posted on Facebook that he had this big collection, big PC. He was getting out of it, needed the money, or just getting out of it, wanted to cash out, get his money out of it. I immediately messaged him.
about.
I was like, I'm serious. I mean, you put a great post together. You put a list together. You put a good price on it. I was like, if you know where Phuket is in Rivergate across from the mall, I said, I'm going to be there in 20 minutes. I said, come meet me. And he goes, me and my wife eat there like every week, of course. I know exactly where it is.
Oh, nice.
So like me and Isabel walked in and grabbed the table, and then he walked in and they're like, hey, they knew his name too by, his first name.
That's crazy.
And he's like, I'm not eating, I'm just meeting them. And he sat down, had a great conversation, super nice guy. I was able to involve Isabel. She's 13. I was like, you count the card. I said, you go through and count the cards. It was a case of slabs.
Oh.
And I
Was
was
it the
like, you
Lugia
count
slabs?
them. Huh?
Was it the Lugia slabs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I told her, I was like, you go through and count them. I said, I'm just going to spot check, some of the prices. and just make sure. But it was a super cool set, and you know, didn't haggle him at all. I was like, dude, it's worth this. Good price. Here's your money.
Yeah.
Venmoed him. I was like, if you want to hang out, we'll buy your dinner. Like,
Yeah.
hang out with us. He stayed for a few minutes and went on. But that was the most memorable because I got to involve one of the kids in it.
Yeah.
And then got some super cool cards that, 2 cards out of that collection that people like Abe have said, like, seen that card. There was a Japanese Lugia. It was a PSA 10. Abe's like, I didn't even know this card existed. Like, I like
Yeah.
Lugia. He's good. He's like, I love this card. And I was like, well, let me make sure my boys don't want it. And if they don't want it, I'll just give it to you. And then, there was this, it was a Beckett 9.5. It was one of the deck cards. It was a Lugia, like Ace of Spades deck card.
Yeah.
And this young guy, his name was Jacob, he and his dad came by my table at the first Grails in Glory, and they looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and they were trying to make it work, and it didn't. And they came back and they saw me and saw the card again this past weekend, and they're like, we'll do anything to make this work. What can we do? And it was this card.
Yeah.
And I mean, I bet 20 people stopped and like pointed at the card and like, can we see it? We've only heard about this. And Jacob was able to get it. I traded him. I got a special delivery Charizard and a PSA 8 and some cash. And he was so happy. And those are probably my most memorable deals so far.
Yeah, that's super cool. And that's something that I love about like memories and stuff like that, especially in the hobby. Like it's good. And I know Jacob and them. They're super cool.
Yeah, they are.
I did a big buy of TCG player stuff for them. At the Win Boba Tea actually that we met at.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they were there.
Yeah.
And my boys got to go through it, and they're like, I love this card, and I want this card. And so we kept a bunch of the cards too, for our personal collection that were just super cool, and we're selling some of them, but giving some away. It's just been cool.
Yeah, no, and I think that's cool. And I think that's great what you guys are doing, and that the fact that you're able to help that person. You said Inglewood. I think, are you by is there a library near?
Yeah, pretty close. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I know where East Nashville is. I love East Nashville. I think we lived in. Yeah, I think we lived in Inglewood when we first moved here. There was a rental house that we had.
Yeah.
But there, what was I going to say? That's a super cool deal, and that you're able to help that guy out and like meet and make a connection. And then
so I can see your campus from my backyard.
Oh, really?
Like when you pull up and there's like the old hospital building and like a big office building. I took this picture for you this afternoon.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Standing in my backyard, you can see it. Because you get to those buildings and turn right, and then your school's right there behind it on the left. And
oh wow,
so it's cool.
That's super cool. I did not know that. That's awesome, and I didn't know that you were close. That's super cool.
Yeah,
I enjoy it, and I've had it. And you're speaking of Alakazam, I have this card. If you know that card.
Yep. I had one copy of that, and I sold it at the last show.
Well, I have two if you want one. But I had it in a PSA 10, but I traded it for some stuff. I forgot what I traded it for. I think I traded it for some raw and some slabs. Here, I can pull up the photo.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite cards. I bought it from Adam at Country Cards.
Yeah.
After Abe introduced me to Adam, I promised him I would come see his shop in Gallatin because I used to work up there. And And he had it, and I bought it from him. It was
Nice. I need to go up there. I still have yet to gone up there, and I need to go up there and do a podcast with them because I really want to. Where is the? Oh, is that it? No.
you talking about Adam's shop?
No. Yeah, Country Cards. I want to go up to Country Cards.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look for the picture of the trade.
Oh, okay.
You can continue talking. I'm just looking.
Yeah, Adam's shop is right on Southwater. So like if you go to the middle of Gallatin, like downtown Gallatin, there's kind of a square, and go south out of the square, his shop is probably like a half a mile on the left.
Nice. I really want to go. And they're big. They're just cool guys. I met him at Nationals. I had the strip with him at Nationals. It was
Mhm.
me, Dylan, Adam, and then Brandon and Abe. Brandon then Abe. And we talked the whole time. He did crazy stuff, or not crazy, but he had some crazy stuff. Like he was one of the first people because I hadn't seen Jackson set up before, but he was one of those first people that I saw, and I was like you have that? Like I was like, whoa! I remember he came by the booth and he's like, oh, I just got the Mario, and we were like, what? Like we were just like going crazy. Um, but he's definitely a cool guy. And he does music. I think he plays guitar. I've heard he can shred it on the guitar. Yeah, this is the trade I did for the Alex exam. I had him.
Yeah, I like
But,
that. I don't
all
need
that,
that because I would want to keep it.
yeah, I like all the 151 stuff is cool. But that's super cool, and that I think that always attests to no matter who I talk to on the podcast, everyone always has like that one memory that like is
Mhm.
very much associated with the TCG, and that's what I love. Like for like I have when I look at these two cards, I have a memory with them. Like
Yeah.
it was the morning of last show, and I had my stamp promos, and that was part of the big trade that I did with Jesse. And he's still salty about it, but it's funny. But like everything has a memory. I
Mhm.
remembered when I bought my case, when I did my first table, when I did my first show, and it's just all like super fun and super cool, and just it it's different, than any other business or hobby or whatever. And yeah, it's just really cool. Excuse me. What the heck? I am sleepy. Um, I would ask questions up here, but yeah, that's super cool. I know you said you had some stuff to talk about. What did you wanna say?
Um, I guess, asking, tidbits just since I'm brand new, like, what are some of the gems? Because I've heard Rocco and Jerry and other people like saying, "Hey, this is a gem. Take it and put it in your pocket." Basically, I messed up and made this mistake and it cost me. Learn from it. Um, what are some things, since you're several steps ahead of me that like you learn the hard way? I know, like not turning TCG player on,
Yeah.
turning your status on, but whether it be advertising on eBay or shipping or you know
Yeah. Stuff for me, I mean, is I I learned fast, and I've had a great amount of help from other people. Um, but like obviously we said about connections, know who because there's people here that love the hobby, and then there's people
Mhm,
here that are just there for the numbers.
mhm.
Um, I'm a bit of both. Like I love Pokemon. I love Pokemon. But at the end of the day, like this is what I want to do. This is like what I want to do as a job. Well, not as a job, but I want to build a brand. I want to build a business within the space and provide something that is different than everything else. Um, so know who obviously there's people that are scammy. There's be aware. Um, and if you ever have a question, like always ask people. Like if you
Okay.
see a deal going wrong, or there's like a little fishy, like, hey, just always ask a second opinion, because there are some people in here that I've heard like from multiple people, like, hey, don't do business with this person, or this person is prone to overcharging, or this person is can get violent, or like whatever it could be. And just always ask everything. There's not really a question. And just know what you like. Be comfortable in your percentages. Like be like, hey, um, and this is even hard for me too, because I see like a little kid, wanting like $100 card, and I sympathize with them. I'm like, I remember when I wanted like that $100 card when I was a little kid and I couldn't get it. But just always, there's like moments where you can do that type of stuff and like help the kids out and stuff. But just always, everyone has to eat too, so always be firm in your
Yeah.
percentages. If you like to buy at 80%, always say, hey, I'll buy at 80%. If you like to do, trades at 75%, always be like, hey, this is like what I do normally. If you're okay with that, and being transparent is always key. Like always bringing, like, don't scam people. Like don't hide behind, like, don't do this with your phone and like no, be like, what I'll do is like, hey, okay, let's say, I'm just throwing random numbers, but I'll be like, hey, okay, so this card is $500, and then this you have a lot of TCG player stuff for 400, whatever, it's $900. I usually take it at 80%, but some of this stuff here I don't know how I'll do, so I'll take it at 79, 78%, whatever it is, and you're very clear with them, like, hey, are you willing to do 700 for it?
Mm-hmm.
Like just having that open, have the calculator, show the last holds, because at the end of the day, like one bad deal could like ruin your rep, and you don't want that. Like you want to be open, transparent. And doing that, people are gonna know, like, hey, like this person's cool. Like this person like is very, I may not like what the deal is all the time, but I know that they're fair and that this is what they do to everyone. And
Yeah.
I think that is like very important, and that stuff that Abe's told me too, where it's like, be transparent, have the calculator. Ooh, excuse me. Like that type of stuff.
I like that. That's I like that advice a lot. Yeah. Make that a habit. Add that extra layer of transparency. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's like it's good rep, and it just helps out people at the end of the day. It's
Yeah.
like it's good to do that. You don't want to be a snobby business person.
Yeah.
Because like if you're solely doing it for like the money and the game, like, yeah, that's okay, because I understand people, you have to eat, but like at the same time, like it should be more than that. If you like truly love the game, or you truly love the cards, no matter how you might be perceived, like you might truly love it. um that is like the most important thing at the end of the day. It's a hobby for most people. Um so you want to be fair, because if, like, say, like, for example, that Lugia deal that you did, or the Venusaur, like we did that Venusaur deal, right? For that
Right.
Venusaur,
Yeah.
like that, obviously we knew each other. I knew it was going to a good place. Like I was willing to, I think we did straight trade or whatever we did, or trading cash on it. um but it's always good to like be, transparent, or like be like, hey, I know you really want this card, so let
Mhm.
me cut you a deal, let me do something like that. um which it's always good, like that's always a good part of the thing, of the business.
That was another one of my favorite deals because my son and I were standing there at your table. We weren't talking to you, we were looking, but when you bought the Venusaur,
Yeah,
gosh, I can't remember that guy's name, but he is so awesome. He is so nice.
yeah,
Um, and he knows my name. He said hi to me and knew my name, and I felt terrible. I just blanked. Um, but my son was like, I like that card a lot. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really nice card.
Yeah.
And then, we saw it later, like on Instagram, and he's like, "Oh, I want that card, Dad." And I was like, I know, that's a nice card. And then finally I was like, you still have that card?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's make it happen. And yeah, it's cool.
And that was a good. I think that was good, and that's something that like we got to know each other more over that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like for example, like you knew what I was in on that card because that deal was crazy. Like that was like some of the best. Like I was like, "Are you sure?" Like, "Are you like what?" Like I was even like, "Are you sure about it?" Like I feel like you don't want to like rob stuff from people. Feel that, and it's
Right.
just like it was a good deal. So like I was willing, like I was ready making. Like if I sold it, I think I had it at like 320 market
Yeah,
or
320.
or whatever it is. I think I bought it for like $200 or I bought it for something crazy, like stupid. And it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, if you want to go, like I forgot what we ended our thing on, our deal on. But
Um, I remember I have a picture of it.
I think it was like 310 or something like that. I traded you the Duraludon. I remember
Yeah.
I did that
And I
and
gave you full price for it. I gave you your full asking price for it.
oh, okay. I think I had it
Yeah.
at 3.
Here it is. Um, I don't remember, but whatever credit you gave me
Yeah,
for
I
the
think the Duraludon was like $40. Um,
maybe, then I gave
and
you cash on the rest of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you gave me cash or Venmo and the rest of it. But like, stuff like that is just like it's
Yeah.
easy. And that card was really special for me too, because that was like the first like $300 card that or yeah, it was like the first like higher end card that I got. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I love this card. I'm a big Venusaur guy too, so I love that card. And I bought like my first guard for it. It was like a really special card. And the fact that
Yeah.
I knew it was going to a good place. I was like, that was like really nice, like ending to
Any
that little story.
anytime you want to see it, just come over. It's on my son's
Yeah,
nightstand.
yeah, you guys, it's a sick card. I love that set. I actually had I've had the whole Venusaur set, and then
Yeah.
now I have. Let's see where is it? I had the Charizard. I don't think I had the whole Charizard set at one point. But now I have, if I can find it.
Oh, I know one of the questions you always ask everyone is like, what was the it card?
Yeah,
You know,
I was,
like
yeah.
when you said Charizard, it made me think of that. Sorry.
No, you're good. What? And I thought I asked that. If I
It
did,
was the for me it was a purchase. Met a guy and got a Japanese 151 Charizard
oh
for
really?
PSA
Oh
10.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super cool. That's
It sits in the case and it just goes down in value every day, but it was my it. That was my
yeah,
first like it card.
yeah. That's 151 is like it's getting reprinted, so it's like going down a little bit. Which I have a funny story about the English 151 Charizard, which I got at when did I get that? I think I got it at Grails and Glory. Um, 'Cause I think I traded it for the first God set that I have because now I have another one.
Hmm.
I think hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take. I think this set right here, the God set, is the best ROI in the entire like Sword and Shield era. Because I paid like $850 for this whole set. And that's buying it at market flips. Obviously, I want a coin flip. You can probably buy it at $870, decent. Like
Hmm.
that's a good thing for every individual card. And then if you have the whole set, you can. I think market on the whole set right now is anywhere from like 1.2 to 1.7K. So you could be like, hey, I have
Wow.
it at
Yeah.
0.5. So you're almost like doubling your money from one set. So I love these guys. The God set. I love them. What was I gonna say? And that's
I
super
had
cool.
somebody ask me, I had somebody at the show last week ask me if I had any, they were looking for
They were looking
gods.
for the
And I was like, go back up to the front door, take a right. Guy
yeah,
facing the wall right there runs the show. I was like, I know he had it. I don't know if he still does or not, but I pointed some people up to you.
yeah,
And you had already sold them at that point, but they were looking for them raw. So,
yeah, yeah. I love the set. And I think it's cool. What I was gonna say is I have the Blastoise set in raw,
oh, nice.
which
Those are super cool.
I love this Blastoise. I remember first show at Lighthouse, or not Lighthouse, Nationals that I first went to. I saw this Blastoise. I'm like, wow, this Blastoise is so cool. And I think the PSA 10 at the time was doing like maybe 150 bucks.
Hmm.
And now I have them right here. And
Cool.
it's just another one of those cards that's like, wow, like I saw it and now I have it, and it's super cool. But yeah, that's what's so the first Charizard was the 151 Charizard. What's the story on that?
It was an early Facebook find. Guy was a big whatnot, purchaser, streamer, and he posted like, need to sell some cards to pay some bills, come make some deals, basically. And me and my son drove up to Springfield, Tennessee, to his house, and real nice, great host. He's like, come on in. And I met him at his house. We met at his house because we had mutual friends.
Oh, okay.
And we knew that each other were cool. So he let me come to his house, and he just like brought binders and cases and boxes, and he's like, go through it, just let me know what you want. He's like, the only thing that was off limits was the 151 master set. He's like,
Nice.
don't touch it. But he's like, anything else in there, I'll sell. And yeah, he had the Japanese Charizard and a 151 PSA 10. Took it. And then I took the Surging Sparks Pikachu in Japanese raw. And got it graded as a PSA 10.
Dang.
And then just a few other smaller cards. But I still talk to him on Messenger all the time. He's like, he checked in last week, and he's like, did you get that Pika back yet? You said you were going to get it graded, and I want to know. And I was like, yeah, I got the grade on PSA. It's a 10. I don't have it back. And he sent another message out. Huh?
Was it which Pikachu was it?
The Surging Sparks.
Japanese?
No, yeah, Japanese.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have that? No, maybe. I don't remember. I know I saw this.
Yeah, and then my partner's son pulled English Pikas back to back out of Surging Sparks booster boxes.
What?
So when you interviewed me, you're like, tell me a cool story. And I was like, cool story. Here's,
Oh, you told me. Yeah.
I said, here's Caleb texting me this morning saying, I just pulled this out of a pack. I wasn't going to open packs because I didn't have any penny sleeves where I am. What do I do? And, we talked through it. And then I think his grandmother got him another booster box like in the next week or two, and he pulled another one back to back.
That's so crazy. I remember you told me that because you had gone to Lighthouse that morning.
Yeah.
And you were like, I think you told me you're like on the way back, or you were on the way there, and he called you and he pulled it.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, calm down. Like, I think he said like you went to GameStop or something, got some sleeves or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I told him, I said, put it back in the pack. I said, put it in the middle of the deck, put it back in the pack, wrap it up in some paper towels, put it in a Ziploc bag. But yeah, he pulled back to back. One of them's clean. One of them's for sure a PSA 10. The other one, I don't know, 50-50 maybe.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, take those coins. I have a card that is being graded right now. That's a coin flip. It if it pops at 10, it's like a childhood card of mine or of my brother. If it pops at 10, it's like I think It's a tag team. It's like really good if it pops a ton. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, I have some stuff coming back. Nothing crazy. I think I have the Groudon from Temporal Forces, and then I have some like lower end stuff. But
Cool.
yeah, no, that's a super cool story. I remember, yeah, you told me that on our interview, which is that's super cool. And yeah, that's awesome. Um, now I know we are getting a little late. Um, at least for me. I will. If we have any, do you have anything else before I kind of like wrap it up, or like, is there anything else you would like to talk about, or anything?
You know, I'm sure there is, but I could probably talk all night about it. So I don't want to keep you.
No, you're good.
I don't. I don't. I don't think I can't think of anything pressing. Right now. Um, I've started a brand, got a logo, got Instagram, bought the bought the domain for the name that I come up with, and just baby steps. Just trying to take a step every couple days.
Yeah.
Towards making it a brand that me or one of the boys can use or take or whatever. So
Yeah. What I'll ask you this. So since you're starting this and obviously you're doing this with your boys, what is like obviously it's a hobby or it's a business side hustle for you guys. But like what do you see worth it where do you see it going? Like what do you like for example if one of your kids came or and was like, hey, I want to like do this, like this is what I want to do, or I want to like this is something I'm very passionate about. And obviously
yeah,
by the time you've spent, like 5 years maybe like building that like are you building it to that point or are you kind of building it like it's there if they want it or like how what like what's your
I have
ideal?
no clue. I have no clue. I'm a perfectionist, and I don't anything that I do, I go all out on.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it's going to go, just to be honest with you. If, one of the boys is like, I want to take it and I want this to be my business, I'll say, here you go. I'm an
Yeah.
entrepreneur at heart. And, I'm always, my wheels are always turning and grinding on, how to make things better, how to make things more efficient, how to solve a new problem. Um, and I just love starting the
Yeah.
company, working in it, working on it, and and I have no clue. I think it would be really awesome to have. I bought the domain for the name, so I think eventually, like having an internet uh, website would be super cool. I've been watching like Pokey Annie.
Yeah.
Yeah, talks about how to start a brand and create a website, and you can even do it like on Wix for free, and you don't pay anything until you make it live and start doing sales.
Yeah.
um so I don't know, I think it'd be super cool to have a go-to website, that you
Mm.
don't have to pay fees and stuff on. I don't know. Great
Yeah.
question.
No, that's
Great
cool.
question.
No.
um but if they were like, we need a card shop in East Nashville, I'd be like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. That's actually what I want to do because I love East Nashville. I think that's where obviously I know it's super expensive to live there.
Yeah.
I love the culture down there. I know you probably know like the Pharmacy Burger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that place. I love have you been to Nelson's Drum Shop?
No, no.
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, obviously my dad does music. That's his profession or his primary profession. And he we know a lot of musicians in town and stuff and it's super cool. It's obviously a music venue or like
Mhm.
it's a drum shop. But it's really cool. It's really nice. I
There's
just I just
there's a little coffee shop, and it has a library attached to it, or not a library, a bookstore attached to it that kind of backs up to the pharmacy. It's called Hannah B Coffee,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty much start my day there every single day.
Nice.
Um, it's just the best little place, and the bookstore attached is really cool too.
Yeah. That's super cool. Yeah, I love that area. I I've had countless birthday celebrations and other celebrations at the pharmacy. And Burger Up when it was there, and 5 Points,
Hmm.
and the soda parlor, if you know what the soda parlor was,
Oh
um,
yeah,
before obviously the tornado took it, which honestly, that's something that I want to do in the future. Because for me, Pokemon, like this is the first business. I'm gonna have multiple businesses. I want to make like a soda parlor type shop type thing. Um, Maybe connect with Pokemon, maybe not. Um, but that's kind of my one of my goals in the future. But yeah, if you ever, I would love to do a shop in East Nashville. So if y'all ever partner stuff in the future, that'd be sick.
yeah.
But um, but no, that's super cool. And what you said about websites, something that I want to do in the summer since it's summer, starting to become summertime over here, or I have school in a couple weeks, or school ends in a couple weeks, is that I want to do I want to make a website and then do like merch and stuff like that. And
Oh, that's
maybe
cool. Yeah.
yeah, like start doing other stuff and being more creative on it. But that's kind of where I am at too, is making a website. I've looked at Wix, um, and like Shopify and stuff like that. But that's yeah. So I like we're kind of like on that same track for more stuff. And
The only thing I've heard about Shopify is if you don't have distro, because they like check your invoices for your inventory to make sure that you're not scalping and that you have legit product, that Spotify or not Spotify, Shopify can maybe won't allow Pokemon sales unless you have like distro or receipts from like Pokemon Center. Not 100% on that. It's just something I'd heard. Um, so
no, that's cool. That's great. I thank you for telling me that before I dove into that. But yeah, that's super cool. I I think I've seen a lot of stuff on Wix, and it seems pretty fairly easy to do website stuff on there. Still thinking about that, but that's super cool. I let's see, kind of asked you if you had any closing. I mean, if you have any closing thoughts, I usually like to ask like, what's one piece of advice that you would give someone if they wanting to start? Obviously, you haven't done it for a long time, but I think that's great
mhm.
because you have a newer perspective on it than when I started. When I started, Whatnot was not really an option, but now Whatnot is like a very prominent option. That's just an example, obviously.
Mm.
But market's always changing. People are always coming in at different times. So what would be your one piece of advice for people that want to start?
If it's something you want to do, this is just my like pure beginner gut feeling is that it can be expensive. And starting out, there's not a ton of money to make in it starting out because you have to buy inventory and you have to travel and pay for shows. So, if it's something you want to do, invest in the business as you go. And I just say this from owning and running other businesses is invest in the business as you go to build a brand. Because I
Mm,
really feel like, you know, long term, if you want to be doing this 5 years from now and making money on it, um, you've got to have a brand that pulls people to you.
yeah,
You can't make a living off of probably just doing shows and TCG player. Maybe you can. I don't know. Um, this is just my gut from just really getting started. But yeah,
yeah,
figure out your brand, your audience, and then you know just take baby steps towards that.
yeah. I think that's super cool, and that's definitely something that's very important. But that's awesome. So I'll ask, where can people find you, Jim? I know
Yeah,
you have your personal Instagram, and then you have obviously your new brand that you've done.
yeah,
So if you just where can people find you?
yeah. The best way would be to either email me or DM me through Instagram. My logo and company is Mavros Collectibles.
Nice. It's awesome.
We're big into Greek mythology and stuff in our house, and Mavros is Greek for black. And it's used in Greece and talking about wines and mythical creatures and all kinds of stuff. And then the Phoenix was my college logo.
Cool.
So yeah, Instagram is Mavros Collectibles. I've only posted a couple times on it. You can message me through there or email mavroscollectibles@gmail.com. Either way.
Cool. That's awesome. First off, obviously, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I hope to we'll see soon. Our next show for you guys, Grails and Glories, June 22nd. So make sure to follow that. We just announced that today. And I designed the poster. So if there's stuff I need to change, tell me. That's like the first time designing something like that. But
cool.
Thank you for coming on, Jim. I'm happy that we got to do this and that it's
it's really a pleasure. You and Abe and Tyler have been so valuable to me to go to and to look to you all as mentors and ask questions, and y'all are awesome. So I really appreciate it. Anything I can do to help, let me know. This summer, if you do shows and want to travel to like Cookeville or something and want to save gas and ride together, let me know, because I think we're going to be hitting up as many shows as we can.
Cool. That sounds awesome.
This summer. And
that sounds great.
And maybe do like a family vacation to like a Collecticon or a card party or something. This won't be vending, but I just want to go see one. So
yeah, no, that'd be super cool. I want to do Cookeville in June. Mm-hmm. It's the day before my brother's birthday, which is funny. But I want to do that in June, so maybe we could do something for that. And then card party. I should be going down as a vendor, not having like a table vending, which I learned that Jerry told me, but kind of just walking and doing stuff like that, or buying and just meeting people, because it's a good time to just meet. And I have family in Florida, so we might hook that in a vacation or some sort.
Is that the one in Tampa?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. My accountant lives in like 45 minutes north of Tampa. She's a virtual professional, but works full time from home for me. And so I'm trying to go down there and see her and her family and do card party, try to make it a family vacation. So
yeah, no, that'd be sick. I think that's really cool. And that's something that'd be great for obviously your kids. And for you, I think that's awesome. Meeting like really big people. And like I said before, it's like end of the day, it's a hobby. So like enjoy the hobby, like enjoy what you do. Enjoy the cards. And I think that's something that's very much at the core of Card Party, which is but yeah, I think that's great. I'm so happy, like I said before, that we're able to do it. And thank you guys, everyone, for watching the 24th episode. Next episode is Pikachu episode, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Should be really cool. I don't think I might have a Pikachu beanie I could wear or something like that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Whenever you're watching this, if it's morning, evening, day, night, I don't know, wherever you are. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you guys.
Thanks, Rocco. Bye.
Of course.